Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. We'll just give it another minute or two, just waiting for other participants, and we'll start in, say, 101 as soon as that hits. Thank you. Let's start now. I'm hoping that it's 1 or 2, so let's keep cracking. We got a lot to show today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Transform your digital workplace using Office 365 and Power Software for councils and government. I once again thank you, everyone, for taking some time out and being here today. Before we proceed, my name is Leslie, the Principal Consultant of Promatics. Joining me today is Pierre from Pavel Software. He's the APAC Business Manager. Before we get into our presentation, I would like to bring up a few house rules. So what I would like you to do is to, on the right-hand side question window, if you have any questions, please type it in while we are doing the presentation. And while we are, during the presentation or after the presentation, we'll be able to give you some feedback on your queries. And also, if you're not sure of anything while we are speaking, just type it in as well as a question. Thank you. Before we proceed, let's look at the agenda for today. So what I'm going to do is to just run through some introduction on what Promatics and how we as an organization deliver successful projects. Then I'll hand over to Pierre to run through the Power Software introduction, what the software means to Office 365, how that enhances the working style of within the Office 365. And also Pierre would then go through some demos and use cases to explain how that would help you enrich your user adoption and some of the key features that can help you deliver outcomes. We would touch base on two softwares, which is the SharePoint based Power add-on and also the Microsoft Teams based add-on. And at the end of that, we'll run through some Q&A questions just to go through your queries and how this would help your organization. I think the next slide will look at what Promatics do. So before we proceed, I'm Leslie Anjan. I'm the principal consultant of Promatics. I'm in this industry for the last 20 years, delivering Microsoft-based solutions, especially in the on-prem versions of SharePoint, and now delivering cloud-based SharePoint. And also, I'm into Power Platform as well, delivering outcomes to my customers. So we as an organization, we deliver successful projects, and I personally believe that we have done a lot of good work in federal government, state government, and private sectors. Then the question is what Prometics delivers. So we have 5 verticals here, clearly articulated. So there are digital workplace and collaboration, where we deliver intranets and portals, your documents and records management. If you have any existing system or legacy systems that you have, or file share based documents, we are happy to migrate that, give you a migration approach, and happy to migrate that to the new systems. Then our next sector is data analytics. We are big on that. We bring across data from different systems using an ETL method and pump that into a visual engine like Power BI and any other Power tools that you would like to see on. Then the third vertical here is our modern apps. We develop a lot of custom apps in .NET and other platforms. And also in the recent past, we deliver a lot of applications in Power Apps and connect to Power Automate, where the workflow then takes that approach into deliver those approval workflows to the customers. The fourth vertical is digital transformation. So this is our consulting arm, where we would come and look at your organization's transition approach, your process mapping, and anything that to do with the business, engaging your business to understand how we can deliver technical outcomes in a successful manner. And the fifth and the most important part is our managed services, so the business application support. We call it Prometix Care. It delivers support to any organization in Microsoft space, where we have our support systems as also we follow the SLAs that we agreed upon. The next slide here I would like to talk through is why Promatics, why engage us to deliver. We are in the industry for the last 10 years. All the consultants that work for Promatics have delivered very large to small projects. We have extensive experience. Promatics as an organization is a Microsoft Gold partner. So we based out of Sydney and Canberra. Our consultants are highly certified and delivered Microsoft-based solutions. We will engage with the customers from starting from getting the requirements to setting up the design, the technical design output, and then going from there to development and build. And then we do the training and handover. So we manage the project end to end. We have developed successful methodologies. So we've got lessons learned in the past. So any projects, any approach, any customer, we have delivered in a way that is successful. And then we've developed our own methodology. To fast track projects, we've also got scripts, pre-built solutions, and our partner products. One of the products that you're going to see today is Power Software. How easily this can be integrated with your existing systems and deliver fast outcomes. And also we understand security requirements around delivering cloud-based solutions, especially in the sector of data. We work with Fed governments, especially in the protected networks, to semi-classified data. We cater for any requirement, and we have expertise in delivering those solutions. Finally, we have lots of experience in integrating with large line of business applications. So surfacing, some of the key systems like SAP and your HR and your ERP, and then servicing that into any Office 365 or on-prem based systems within the Microsoft platform. Without getting delayed, I'll pass on to Pierre. He's the expert in Power Software, and he's going to run through some of the use cases and also the software itself, that how this can be delivered as an outcome for you guys. Thank you. Over to you, Pierre.
Thank you very much, Leslie, and hi everyone. Thanks a lot for taking the time out today. Very good to see a lot of people on this webinar, looking at obviously leveraging Office 365 investment into digital workplace projects, which is always great to see. So I'm Pierre. I'm based out of Sydney, and I look after Power Software for Asia Pacific. I've been with Power Software for the past 3 years now. I was hired actually in Hong Kong to open the first Asia Pacific office, so 3 years ago, and I relocated to Sydney last year to start building an Australian office. So since then, we've hired a team locally, and we've been expanding in the region really. Now, what I'd like to do today is really to start with, I will take you through a couple of slides about Power Software. I wanted to give you a little bit of a background about who we are and what we do exactly. And then what I'd like to do is really to take you through demo environments. Slides are really the boring part. What I'd like to do is really to show you the solutions in a live demo to see what it looks like and what it does exactly, basically. Now, again, to give you a little bit of a background about Pair Software, we are essentially a global ISV, so a software vendor specialized in digital workplace solutions and 100% aligned with Microsoft. So we are Microsoft Gold partner since day one, really, and we were actually founded by a Microsoft system integrator back in France that's been around for about 20 years. So 6 years ago, this Microsoft system integrator founded Pair Software when a lot of our internal SharePoint specialists, basically after rolling out hundreds of intranet projects, came to the realization that all of these projects had a lot of similarities. All these projects needed a nice homepage, an HR side, an IT side, a people directory, and so on and so forth. And they thought, why don't we come up with a solution where we would basically templatize the whole of SharePoint, make it some sort of CMS, like a WordPress for SharePoint, really, to simplify the whole process of design, deployment, and management of intranet solutions on SharePoint. And that's how everything started for us 6 years ago. Now, if we fast forward to today, we have 10 offices globally. So headquarters are still in France, but since launching the solutions, we open offices in North America, especially in Seattle, for very obvious reasons. The idea was really to leverage the partnership with Microsoft there. We have a lot of Microsoft alumni at Pair Software, but we also open offices in Europe, so in the UK, in Germany, Middle East and Africa, with Dubai and South Africa, and then so Asia Pacific with Hong Kong first 3 years ago, and Sydney more recently last year, where we have started to build a team locally. In terms of customer base, we service over 350 customers today, which represents about 1.5 million users globally. And something extremely important is that we operate exclusively through a network of implementation and consulting partners, such as Prometix, for example. So our partners are based in all local markets, and they are here really to provide you with all the implementation and consulting services associated with the solutions. And the last thing I wanted to mention here is that last year we have raised $16 million US, which was obviously very timely with the pandemic, and which has helped us in terms of keeping the investment going in the different regions, and also in terms of keeping the efforts going in terms of R&D, which represents about 40% of the workforce for us at Pair Software. Now, I wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot in terms of customer base. Although we are doing very, very well in the government space, where we've had a lot of very nice references in the past, and where actually, if we look at only Q1 this year, I think 35% of the new customers we onboarded in Q1 were in public sector, which was really interesting to see. But overall, it's really across the board for us. There is no major focus in terms of industry. Sorry, the focus for us is really in terms of technology. So the moment you're looking at really leveraging your Office 365 investment, and especially SharePoint and Microsoft Teams, you are eligible to use the Pair Software solutions. Now, what's interesting to see as well is in terms of size of customers. Although on this slide, it's mostly enterprise clients because these are the logos we all know of. Our customer base really ranges from a wide range of customer size, basically. To give you an idea, the smallest customer we service today is actually based in APAC. They are in New Caledonia. They have 8 users. The largest customer we service has 160,000 users. So it is really spread across the board, and because the solutions are very much scalable. Now, in terms of offering, what we offer is basically a global offering made of 2 key solutions. So you've got the 2 key solutions on the screen here. On the left-hand side, you have Pair Intranet, which is really our flagship solution. This is what we are known for in the market. This is what we started with 6 years ago. Pair Intranet is our intranet in a box solution that goes on top of Microsoft SharePoint. Now, the idea with Pair Intranet is that everything comes in the shape of templates. So we have templatized the whole of SharePoint, the whole of the SharePoint artifacts. So not only the sites, but even your pages, the page layouts, the content types. Every single SharePoint artifact is templated, basically. And then our local implementation partners are able to reutilize these templates and build templates from scratch that they will be able to implement very, very quickly for their customers, basically. So this is the concept with Pale Intranet. Also, the idea is to really make it simple for you to bring all your Microsoft 365 applications within your SharePoint intranet, but also third-party applications through all the connectors we provide out of the box. In terms of security, we leverage Microsoft 365 to make sure we stay compliant. We focus on providing a nice user and contributor experience. So the idea is really to make it simple and user-friendly for users to use a SharePoint intranet, of course. We make it mobile friendly. So the idea with Pale Intranet is also to enable your frontline workers. So you will see it later in the demonstration, but Pale Intranet is in SharePoint, but also in Teams and of course in the mobile. And we help you really build engaging scenarios with features such as gamifications to make sure you have an intranet that is not just an intranet, but an intranet that people are actually using on a daily basis. On the right-hand side, we have Pale Teams, which is the second part of our offering and probably the newest part of the offering. This is something we have released last year at the start of the pandemic. Pale Teams is our Microsoft Teams governance and adoption application for Microsoft Teams. And it really comes as a result of seeing so many of our own customers just rolling out Teams in the past 2-3 years and raising concerns as they were using Teams, raising a lot of concerns around how do I control the team creation process? How do I manage all my teams as they keep creating new teams? How do I manage the life cycle of my teams? And how do I use Teams to really streamline business processes, basically? And that's how we saw an opportunity to really come in and fill a lot of these gaps that are left by Microsoft Teams out of the box, basically. Again, I will give you a lot more of an overview during the demonstration, but this is really the two key solutions we offer here. Now, when you combine Pale Intranet and Pale Teams together, it becomes Pale 365. So 365 is really our full digital workplace offering. Having said that, the two solutions can be used as a standalone product as well. Now, we have gathered a couple of challenges that we've heard a lot actually when talking to councils and government organizations. And these are a couple of the challenges we would like to focus on today, basically throughout the whole presentation. And I'd be really keen to hear from yourself, actually, if you see some other challenges that we've not listed here that you would like us to talk about. It'd be really interesting to have this discussion. But some of the challenges we've identified revolve really around usage. So how do you make your digital workplace simple to use and really a central place for your users to find information, content, and collaborate on a daily basis? Make sure that your intranet is not just a platform that you launch and that is going to be used for 2 weeks and then just left alone. So how do you make sure that users are using these solutions and using their Microsoft 365 applications within the digital workplace? The second challenge is very, very common to councils and government organizations as well, but also to some other specific industries. I'm thinking about manufacturing and retail, for example, but it's really about frontline workers. How do you make sure that all of your workers and even the frontline workers, those that are on the road that do not have access necessarily to a laptop, how do they have access to all the corporate information and to the digital workplace, basically on their mobile, for example? And this is something we'll look at today. The third one is really about engagement. So how do you make sure, and that really ties into number one, it's really about how do you make sure you have a digital workplace that's engaging, where you're going to be able to deliver compelling content for your users so that they keep coming back onto the intranet and they use it on a daily basis again. So we've built some really interesting features around this. I'm thinking about gamification, for example, which really makes it easy for users to get used to the intranet and just to use it on a very regular basis. The fourth point is very relevant to all industries really, but it's about ready to use. So how do you maximize your Microsoft application? How do you make sure that you don't require a ton of custom development to come up with a really compelling digital workplace, basically? And I don't think any organization is now willing to invest in a lot of custom development. So the idea is to really build a solution for us is really to build a solution where you're going to be able to use everything ready to go without that custom development that's usually very painful. Point number 5, extremely relevant to government organization and council, security. It's always important to make sure you have your digital workplace that's secured and compliant. And in regards to this, obviously we leverage all the Microsoft security features to make sure we stay compliant with all the organizations. The 6th point here is really it's really the trendy topic, especially since last year with the pandemic and since a lot of organizations have been using it a lot more, but really Microsoft Teams. How do you integrate Microsoft Teams in your digital workplace, and vice versa? How do you integrate your digital workplace into Teams, and how do you use Teams as a platform really for users to collaborate on a daily basis? And ultimately, how do you use Microsoft Teams to start streamlining business processes and, for example, start eliminating emails and drive everything through Microsoft Teams? And we'll look at this in more detail when we'll touch on Microsoft Teams in the demonstration. With really like a concrete example that's really a common use case that's relevant to all organizations. We look at the employee onboarding process. So how do you take a business process like this one and you streamline it completely through Microsoft Teams? So with no further ado, let me open the demo environment. Enough with the slides, and we'll try to send you the slides after the meeting, of course. Here we go. So I am just opening here a demo environment. So as you can see, I am in SharePoint. I will start with Perl Intranet. So again, this is the intranet solution that goes on top of Microsoft SharePoint. After this, I will go into Microsoft Teams and look at Perl Teams. Now, the first thing you can see here in this demo environment is that obviously we are on SharePoint. So you've got your SharePoint header here on top. So far, all good. What a lot of organizations like to do is to actually hide the fact that they're on SharePoint here so that you can reinforce your own branding as well. So here, obviously, you would be changing your logo, the colors, all the design so it matches your own corporate branding, of course. And this is something you need to keep in mind here. What you will see here is a demo environment. So everything you will see here is completely out of the box. Now, obviously, it's not SharePoint out of the box, but Perl out of the box, which means that everything you see here is based on templates that can be customized. So whether it's in terms of obviously branding and design, but even in terms of configuration, in terms of positioning of the different web parts you're seeing on this screen here, everything can be changed, of course. And that's why we work with local implementation partners, such as Prometix, because they are here to help you configure your intranet the way you want it to work, basically, using technologies like Perl software. Now, what I will start with here is 2 different home pages. So we have designed here 2 different home pages just to show you actually how it's all about configuration for Perl intranet. So on these 2 home pages, you'll have more or less the same elements, but just displayed and configured differently, basically. Now, also, before I start with the homepage, I wanted to mention here, the design you are seeing here is called the Orion design. So the Orion design is a design that we provide with Perl Intranet, and it goes on top of the SharePoint modern experience. As you can see, it gives it a very slick look, which is really, really nice. I'd say today, 99% of the projects we are delivering are based on the Orion design. Having said that, if you would prefer to use the standard modern experience on SharePoint, you can absolutely do it. It's really up to you to choose the design you want for your project. Now, something specific to the Orion design is this nice little floating menu here on the right-hand side. So here you have access to your profile. So keeping in mind that we want to make sure you leverage your Office 365 application, your profile is going to be Delve. And similarly, everywhere on the internet, you will see integrations to a lot of different Microsoft applications. You have here your notifications within the portal. You have your search function that can be directly here. The search is very powerful. We have a search web part that really enables you to search across your entire tenant, and that can be configured in so many different ways. Here you can search for all type of content, but if you wanted to search only for PowerPoint document within the HR side, you could absolutely do it as well. Now, if I click on document here and run a search, I will search only for documents. You can have your favorites, so favorite application sites and links directly here. And finally here you have instant analytics for the administrators, and here a managed content wheel to add content to the intranet. So that's really going to be for your contributors. Basically, they will be able to add their content directly from the slide view, which makes it very simple for them to create content. Now we've done it here with news, but you could do it with any type of content you want to add on the intranet. So whether it's news, documents, events, alerts, and so on and so forth. Now going through the actual homepage, very standard here, you have a nice corporate news slider, your quick links. Here you have your SharePoint news web parts. They're here configured to show you how you can target content based on user profile. So my profile is part of HR. I am seeing HR by default. I can have access to a preference button to see more than HR if I want to. Obviously, it's all configuration, so you could hide the preference button or target all department news by default as well. You have your corporate events here with SharePoint calendar web parts. Here's a nice tab web part, which is again a web part we provide out of the box, which is here configured from an HR standpoint to call your new joiners, job offers, birthdays, social information, and policies. So here with documents. You have a polling function here, which is again a web part. And here an alternative to a poll would be to integrate a Microsoft form, which is again, making great use of your Microsoft subscription. Same thing here for your videos. If you want to integrate videos within the intranet, you can use Microsoft Stream, which is again part of your subscription. Now, opening the second homepage here, you have more or less the same elements, but as you can see, configured completely differently. So here, your news slider takes the whole page. You have a highlight section with news and calendar web parts that look different, your quick links that are now with pictures, and here your tabbed web part now, this time displayed for news, documents, and events. So there are so many different ways to configure all these different web parts, and that's where the partners are really coming to play. Another page I'd like to show you here is the My Board page. So the My Board page is really the personal space of the employee within the intranet. So everything here will be really tailored to the end user. What you have here is really your profile. All this information is coming from Delve. You can have Yammer for the social aspect of things directly here. If you don't want to use Yammer, we have a web part that does exactly the same thing, but only leveraging the Sharepoint commenting feature with access to all your discussions here. You can have your saved news. Your teams can be integrated directly in the intranet as well. You can even interact in channels directly from here. You have your documents leveraging Delve, and here you have an example with Outlook and To-Do with the tasks, events, and emails directly in the intranet. Again, these are just examples, so it's really up to you to choose the right web parts you want to display on the different pages. Now, another page I'd like to show you here is the HR site. So I've got it here. The HR site is, again, so it's based on a template. So here you have your quick links. You have your HR news, new joiners and promotions, job opportunities for internal opportunities, and content with documents, as well as discussions with Yammer. Now, one web part I wanted to show you here is this one. If I open this, this is actually displaying information from an external system. So this system is sitting completely outside of Office 365. What we do here is we leverage a API connector that we have developed and which is available in Pale Intranet to display any information coming from external system through the API of that external system. So we've done it here with this job board. Yep.
Yeah, I have a question, Pierre. So you said
Sure.
that connecting to APIs. What other APIs do you guys have that we can connect to?
So our API connector is actually a universal API connector. So you can take any API and just connect it to our connector. So for example, we have plenty of customers. They want to display information coming from SAP or from Workday for HR systems, for example. You can absolutely do it. Any external system that has an API available, we can display information coming from it. So it's very simple.
Thanks, Pierre.
Now going away from the HR side, what I'd like to show you is, so here under my departments, and as you can see, there's a lot of content here. So I'm not gonna be able to show you everything. Obviously, if you wanna see it in more detail, we can always organize a call. We can even share the demo environment credentials with you if you request for it, so that you can have access to everything. One thing I'd like to show you is the Gamification Center, which is really about making it more user-friendly, making it more engaging for users to be on the intranet. What you can do here with the Gamification Center is to really define action that users will be rewarded with points, basically. So here, for example, I can see a leaderboard and I can see the different actions where I can be rewarded with points. So any action taken on the intranet can be rewarded with points. So it could be commenting a news, could be liking a news, could be sharing a news, could be booking an event. Here you can see booking a desk, and I'll come to this right after. Any action on the intranet can be rewarded with points. And here you can see your latest actions with the amount of points you've earned. So that's a really cool feature, and that can be implemented in so many different ways. Again, can be linked to reward programs and things like that. Now, another thing I'd like to show you is the Book Your Desk application here, and which really reflects the way we work at Pair Software and really our DNA. 95% of our roadmap is based on partner and customer feedbacks. Last year during the pandemic, a lot of organizations were requesting for systems to be able to book desks before reopening the offices, basically. And we came up with this new web part, which is again included in the subscription, called FlexDesk, which allows you to easily upload a map that you can then map with certain areas so that your users can book their desk before going back to office. So if I wanted to book desk 1, I can do it directly from here. I can upload as many maps as I want to, and I can have a view on who is going to be in the office here, my next bookings, and so on. Now, what's interesting with this, and which again really reflects the DNA of Pair Software, is that when we released this, it was really for desks, but we ended up with a lot of customers using it for completely different purpose. For example, we have a lot of customers using it to book parking spots. We also have customers that use it to book devices, where they'll have a picture here with 10 laptops, and you can book your laptops directly from here. So you can use this for so many different purposes. The very last thing I'd like to show you here is the people directory, which is always a requirement in an intranet project. So here we have a nice people directory leveraging the Azure Active Directory, where you can easily build a people directory, basically with refiners on the left-hand side, based on the information available in the user profile. Now, if I was to click on Linda here, for example, you get a nice ID card of your user with contact information, an org chart, and recent documents based on permissions again. Something important is, again, the idea is to make it accessible from everywhere to everyone, so everything is responsive. The idea is that you can have access to this on the mobile. So as you can see here, this is a responsive view of my people directory, which is really nice that you can see it on the mobile. You can have access to it in Microsoft Teams, super important. So here I've got the exact same intranet as you can see, but directly in Teams. And more important than that, here you can change the logo and the name of the application, and you can have as many applications as you want to. For example, here you have one called Intranet, which is your intranet. But if you wanted to have a second one here called Book Your Desk that points directly to the desk booking application, you can absolutely do it. You could have another one here called People Directory, and that gives a quick access to the People Directory. So that's Pale Intranet in Microsoft Teams. So it makes it really simple to give quick access to your intranet directly in Teams, where users are now spending a lot of times, and where they're not necessarily going to open SharePoint anymore, but they'll open Microsoft Teams a lot more. Now, what I'd like to show you, so I'm just sharing my mobile phone here. What I'd like to show you is also the mobile application. So with the subscription, you have a mobile application that comes included, where you can basically design a dedicated mobile experience for your intranet, but for the mobile only. Because what happens very often is that customers don't want to have the entire intranet on the mobile. What they want is really to have a dedicated mobile experience with specific sections of the intranet for the mobile application, basically for the mobile experience. So what you're able to do here with Pale Apps is to, so let me just quit this and relaunch it. Sorry, I didn't launch it today. What you're able to do is really to decide on what sections of your intranet you really want for your mobile experience, which allows you to have really only specific parts of your intranet for the mobile. Now, something important is that the mobile application is available to everyone. So it's downloadable from the App Store, so Android Store or Apple Store. You can very easily, so let me just, sorry, I've got terrible Wi-Fi today. Here we go. You can easily download it directly from here. And what is really nice with this is that you can make it available for frontline workers, which means that your frontline workers, even if they don't have a, sorry about that, I'm just going to quit everything. Here we go. Even if they don't have a Microsoft license, they are able to access the intranet. So what we're able to do is basically to identify whether they have a Microsoft license or not, and if they don't, they get a specific mobile view for non-Office 365 frontline workers, basically, where they have a read-only mode of the intranet. They'll have access to the news, documents, people directory, events, and so on. Now, I am really sorry about this. I'm having a little bit of an issue. Let me open this page here and see if it works. It's the beauty, the demo effect, I'm guessing, and it's the beauty of using one single demo environment for the whole organization globally. So I see somebody has probably broken it, but basically you are able to have, so your homepage here, so you're supposed to have the same view as your intranet view that you can see here, but on the mobile, you're able to have your people directory directly here with filters. Here again, I'm not sure what is going on. You can have your search function. Here it is configured for news and documents with filters again. If you wanted users to be able to search for events, you could do it as well. You can have access to your notifications. So in this case, I don't have any new notification, but I can also manage my subscription. So you can subscribe to different topics to get specific notifications. So here I've subscribed to different locations, departments, and languages. And finally, here you've got access to your, sorry.
Don't worry, the demo god is not with us today, so hopefully the next one he will help us.
Absolutely, yeah. It's actually the first time this does it to me, but that's okay. But here, in the little app list here, you can have access to other applications from the intranet. For example, if you wanted to integrate a pair of apps directly in the mobile application, you could absolutely do it. And users can also redesign their mobile experience by just changing their menu directly from here. Here we go. So I can do this if I wanted to. So that's the mobile application real quick. Now, let me just change this, come back to the demo environment and open Pale Teams very quickly. So very quickly on Pale Teams, is, again, the idea is really to help you manage your Microsoft Teams environment. And it's really to help you control the sprawl of teams. One of the big problems with Microsoft Teams is just having users being able to create teams as they want, just having a proliferation of teams. And then very quickly you end up with a lot of different teams and end up with a big problem in terms of how do you tidy up your entire tenant? How do you archive the right teams? How do you do all these things? So Pale Teams is really here to help you solve these issues, basically. Pale Teams, so it's a Teams application. It's available directly in the store. So you can download it actually today. You can directly download it from here. Very simple to install. Once you install it, you have two interfaces. You've got your end user interface here, and here you have your admin center. The admin center is all about governance. So that's where you're going to build all your governance. In the end user interface, this is what the users will have access to, and this is what they will use to navigate their teams, to find their teams, and to create new teams. And that's where we're going to add a lot of value. So here you can see you have a nice dashboard with all your teams displayed as tiles, makes it easier to visualize your teams. You can display the most recent documents directly here. You can get different views on your teams, and you can search for your teams using refiners. So these are tags that we apply to the teams themselves and that are completely configurable so that you can search for your teams in a very easy way as compared to the classic teams list, which I'll open here. Now, the other thing you can do from here is create new team. And let's step back and think about this this process I mentioned earlier, which we'll cover today, which is the employee onboarding process. Now, the point of using Pale Teams to create new teams is that your users will, they will still be able to create their teams, so you don't have to restrict the creation of teams. So they're still going to be able to create their teams, but they will not be able to create their teams from scratch anymore. They are going to have to use a template that you have pre-configured with all the settings, all the channels, the applications already in the template, basically. And that's where here you will be able to build templates for specific business processes, for specific projects, for specific case scenarios. So for example, if I'm the HR manager and I wanted to onboard a new employee, I could use an employee onboarding template to create a team for the new employee. And here you will see creating a team with this template will take me literally 1 minute. And I'm not going to have to decide on any setting or create any channel or tab or application, basically. So here, I'm just going to have to fill in the information associated to the template. So let's imagine this new employee is going to be part of, let's say, environmental planning control. He's going to be based in Australia, and this is going to be a team for Leslie. So my team name is here. The final team name has been defined by a naming policy at the template level, so I don't have any control on the full team name. Then I can choose my privacy. I have no choice here. It's private by default. I can choose my owners. Same here. I'm not even able to choose any owner, and I've got 2 team owners by default. So this has all been set in the template. And here I can pick my team member. So here I would add Leslie. Obviously, he's not going to be in this directory, so I'm just adding a demo account. And I am good to go. So as you can see, I had a minimum of 1 team member. If I don't reach this minimum, I cannot go to the next step, which is a really important governance rule because you can control this for owners and members. Can click next, and that's it. Now I can just review the information and create my team. So as you can see, it takes really a couple seconds to create teams. And what's interesting in this template is that you have an approval workflow in the template. So here I have not created anything. I have requested for the creation of a team with this template. So as an end user, I can go back to my homepage and wait for the approver to review my request and just approve the creation of my team. And then I will get a notification once it is created. Now, for the sake of the use case here, I am the approver, so I can review the pending approval directly here. And I can come here as an approver, I can review the request. And if I'm good to go with all this, I can just accept. And only when I accept will the team be created. Now, what I'd like to show you is obviously the benefit for IT is very obvious. You put in governance rules, you allow users to create teams, but in a controlled manner. You've got your approval workflows, then you're able to generate your reports to automate all these things. But for the user, there is also massive value for them. Because here, so let me just open a team that was created with the onboarding template to show you. Because the point for the user is not just to be able to create a team in a couple of seconds, it's to be able to create a super rich team that is going to save me a lot of time on a daily basis. So here, as an HR manager, you can see that I've got a couple of onboarding teams here. They all have the same name, so they were all created with the same template. As an HR manager, in 3 clicks, I create a team that has got all these different channels pre-configured. Obviously, all the settings are already in there because that's in the template. I've got the right owners, the right members, because I put the information in the template. But more importantly, within all my channels, all my tabs and applications are configured. So for example, if I go in my files, I have got my onboarding documentation already there, good to go. If I go in 30 days plan here, I have got a Microsoft Planner that is already provisioned. But it's not just provisioned, it's provisioned and configured. So I already have my onboarding steps. So I had configured my planner in the template. If I go here, I've got my onboarding section of my intranet on SharePoint. So here using paired intranet, but you could use any SharePoint intranet directly here. And that's where you will start to use your intranet also in SharePoint, in your mobile application, in Microsoft Teams, and within your teams as tabs, which will really boost the usage of your intranet. And finally here, I've got OneNote. So you can do this. These are just examples. You can do this with any Microsoft application. You can pre-configure it in the template, which will ultimately result in boosting the usage of your Microsoft applications. Because for example, if your users are not using Planner, here they will use it because it's already pre-configured. The steps are already in there. It's now just good to go, basically. So ultimately, it will boost the usage of your Office 365 applications, basically. And I know we are running out of time. We want to spend some time on questions and answers. So I'll just stop it here. Obviously, there's plenty more to show you, especially in the admin center. But happy to organize a session afterwards to go through this in more detail. So let's just come back to this and let's see if there is any question at this stage.
There's one question, Pierre, here.
Yeah.
So do I have to get both Teams and SharePoint software together, or can I just get SharePoint part of the intranet component?
No, so it's completely flexible. If there is a use only for Pale Intranet, you can absolutely subscribe only to Pale Intranet, and vice versa.
Cool. There's another question here. So this is from a council. We got an HR system and a frontline workers app. Can we integrate that with Teams or SharePoint, and how much effort that would be required? Obviously, the question is, first part is we would, as Promatics, would help with the integration, and Pavel, Pierre, at your side, you would probably have some components to display the way that you showed us in the SharePoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
It's absolutely doable. Again, Pale Intranet sits on top of Microsoft SharePoint, so it's really just a layer on top of SharePoint, basically.
Okay. So there's a question here, another question. Typically, how long would the implementation take place? Obviously, you answer the first part, Pierre, then I'll answer the second part.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously two main components to this here. With Pale Teams, it's usually very quick in terms of projects. We're looking at, I mean, installing the application is really a couple of minutes. What takes time is not really the configuration of the application. That is not very time consuming. What takes time is really to sit down with all the different departments and understand exactly what the governance plan should look like, and what templates should we build to streamline what processes, basically. So all in all, the partners right now are delivering Pale Teams within 3 to 5 days in total. So it's fairly quick. With Pale Intranet, it's a little bit different, but we're going to be looking at, and the idea with Pale Intranet, again, is to reduce the whole time to market, to reduce the custom development and so on. So as compared to a traditional SharePoint project, we're going to be looking at anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks from end to end.
So add to that, as Promatics here, we are a partner, we complement that. So we deliver end-to-end solutions, starting from requirements to delivering training sessions and also rolling out plan and all that. So we will put our support around that product delivery. So if anything that needs to happen, you can contact us directly, and we will work with Pavel to deliver us our successful outcome. There's another question here. Is there a special rates for council and state governments?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Look, we are fully compliant with Microsoft. So whenever Microsoft gives a discount, we give a discount as well. So absolutely, yes. Public sector, councils, government, we do provide discounts on the licenses.
Cool. Another question here. In terms of customization in Teams, is there anything that Microsoft Teams can do? I'm just rewording this question. That your Pavel sort of add-on that complements Microsoft Teams. I'm not really sure what the question answers, but I think what he's answering a question asking is what's the difference between out of the box and Pavel Teams?
Right. So with the main difference is really to be able to add all the templated approach and really all the governance, basically. With Microsoft Teams out of the box, there's only two ways. It's either you allow Teams creation and people are able to create teams as they want, basically, and then it can really quickly become a mess, or you fully lock it down and then nobody can create teams anymore. And then they don't get to use Teams as it's supposed to be, basically. In terms of templates, it's very, very limited with Microsoft out of the box. You can build templates, but you will only be able to provision channels. So you're not going to be able to actually have the settings, to have the applications and so on already pre-configured. It's going to be very, very basic. So a lot of the things that we add are really things like the approval workflow, being able to automate the creation of teams also from external systems. So it's something I didn't touch on, but we have a Pair Teams API where we pair automate connectors. We're able to add automations to templates so that you can trigger third-party actions as well as you create new teams. For example, you could create a team with a template that triggers an automation that automatically sends a welcome email with the best practices around how to use that team to all the members and owners of that team. You could have a lifecycle policy where you have an automatic expiry date in the template, which means that 3 days before expiring, it sends an email to the owner of the team asking him, do you want to keep this team, or are we going to really archive this team in 3 days? So you can do all these little things that really make the Microsoft Teams environment really customized to what you need exactly, which is not achievable with Microsoft Teams out of the box.
I think that's it, Pierre. I haven't seen any other questions. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining the webinar. On behalf of Pierre, who is part of Powell Software, and on behalf of Promatics, Leslie. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you had you enjoyed the presentation and learned a lot. If you need anything on Powell Software or any other services within the Microsoft Office 365 space, please drop an email to Promatics. So that is inquiries@promatics.com.au, or visit our website, which is www.promatics.com.au. Then there's a contact form there. Happy to get any input from you, and we'll happy to proceed. We will closely work with Powell Software to deliver a successful outcome. Thanks everyone, and thank you very much, Pia, for taking time to run the presentation.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.